So again, good afternoon and welcome to our virtual career spotlight. I'm all business. I'm Sonia Hayes, a career development specialist with Wake Tech's Career Services, and in collaboration with Wake Tech's Business Administration Department, today's spotlight will shed light on different careers along the pathway of business administration. In the words of Steve Jobs, your work is going to fill a large part of your life. And the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. So for those of you who have joined us today to help clarify your career goals and discover what you love, when each panelist sheds light on their career, I want to challenge you to self-reflect and ask yourself, how does this career resonate with me? Then allow the insights of each panelist to guide you in learning more about that particular career. So now for today's agenda. On today, we're going to briefly give an overview of the different business administration career pathways. There will then be an introduction of the moderator and panelist. We will then have our questions for the panelist, followed by an opportunity for you as the audience to engage with our panelists so that you can ask any questions that you may have. We will then have an overview of Wake Tech's business administration programs, followed by words of wisdom from one of our awesome career coaches, Mr. Larry Tucker. So now when we think about the various pathways of business administration, it's a lot like the diagram that you see before you. In this picture, you see that there are several branches that go out from business administration. As a career counselor, I'm often asked, if I major in business administration, what can I do with that degree? So today, our goal is to shed light on that for you to understand these are the pathways. These are the different areas that you can explore, just like the trees on the branches that are here. So of course, on today, we're actually going to be highlighting 5 of those areas that branch off from business administration. On today, you're going to hear from successful professionals in the area of human resources, marketing, project management, entrepreneurship, and real estate. So now for the moment we've all been waiting for. I'm now going to introduce our moderator and our panelists. So as our moderator today, we have Dr. Donna Hawkins. She is the Associate Department Head of the Business Administration Department at Wake Tech Community College. As our panelist, we have Chris Ross, who's going to be representing human resources on today. She is the Director of Benefits right here at Wake Tech. We also have Katie Gales, who's representing entrepreneurship. She's the Director of Entrepreneurship Initiatives here at Wake Tech as well. We also have John Andrews, who will be representing marketing. He's the president of the Katahdin Company. We also have Abby Saucedo, who's representing real estate. She is a real estate agent of the Caldwell Banker Advantage. She's also one of Wake Tech's alumni. And last but not least, as a panelist for today, we have Damian Perez, who's representing project management. He is the Operations Program Manager of Ascend Leadership Academy. Within the chat box, you will see detailed biographies of each of our panelists. Well, what I want to start with today, of course, giving you the opportunity to look in the chat box and read those bios, I actually want our panelists, if they will, to briefly share with us what it is that you do. of course, we know the area that you're representing. We hear human resources, we hear entrepreneurship, we hear marketing, we hear real estate, and we hear project management. But what is that exactly? So, if you will, of course, with our panelists in no specific order, if you'll unmute yourself and share with us what you do.
All right, I can start. Um, Chris Ross, Director of Benefits here at Wake Tech. Now, I guess I'll always learn to introduce the way and what I do is pretty much is regarding onboarding employees. So for example, once you're onboarding employees, which are handled through a different department, once that employee actually starts, we have to introduce all of the plans and programs that we have here that they have access to. I mean, they and also their family. So for example, when you actually start your job, the first thing you want to know is what type of benefits that particular institution, company, organization has. That way you can decide whether you like to participate in that group plan or have your own individual plan. So for my department, we actually handle introducing all those packages and plans to our employees. A part of that is also pay because those premiums have to come out of your pay. So kind of describing what your pay structure is like and how those premiums will be deducted, whether it's on a tax-based, pre-tax or post-tax basis, and then making sure that we advise you, but also give you the best information for you to make those decisions on your own for you and your family.
Thank you. Okay.
Well, I guess I'll go next. Katie Gales, Director of Entrepreneurship Initiatives, introduced previously. I am part of Startup at Wake Tech, the organization at Wake Tech that supports small business owners and entrepreneurs in the county, as well as people inside Wake Tech who have dreams of small business ownership. And there are two parts to what we do. In entrepreneurship, there are the people like me and our Small Business Center Director, Cherith Robertson, who supports small business owners and entrepreneurs, helps them start and grow small businesses. And our job is to look out there and see what the small businesses need in Wake County and develop programs and offerings to support them. In our Small Business Center, we have free, confidential. I've got my camera on. Actually, I'm not sure why it's not showing up. Thank you for letting me know, Dr. Hawkins. Do you want me to continue or do you want me to stop and come back when I can get my camera working?
No, you keep going.
Okay, great. Thank you. I was wondering why my face wasn't showing up. We offer free confidential one-on-one business counseling for anybody in Wake County through our Small Business Center, which is the #1 in the state. We also offer a series of webinars, over 100 a year, aimed at the small business owner. And under entrepreneurship initiatives, we have community-based programs in 9 of our towns so far. They're called launch programs. So we have Launch Apex, Cary, Garner, Holly Springs, Knightdale, Wendell, Wake Forest, Raleigh, and Roseville. And those are intensive 10-week programs followed by 6 months of mentoring, community building, and assistance finding capital. And I also have the Launch Wake Tech initiative, which is focused at Wake Tech students. I work with our professional services department, the barber school, bilingual cosmetology, English language cosmetology, and natural hair to infuse entrepreneurship principles and education into their existing curriculum. We also have a graphic design practicum where our graphic design students get practical, hands-on branding experience working with real live entrepreneurs. And lastly, we have a student entrepreneurship club. So that's one side of entrepreneurship, which is the organizations that support people who want to start small businesses. But then there's the other side, which is the actual entrepreneurs themselves. So people who want to start a small business, want to have their own thing, or maybe they buy into a small business. That's why I say small business owners and entrepreneurs, because they're two different things. Entrepreneurs walk into a blank space and create something. A small business owner may actually buy something, And most people have a little something going on the side. I think when I speak to classrooms at Wake Tech, I find a good 30% of the students in the class have something that they're doing on their own to generate revenue. That's entrepreneurship. And it's something that studies show almost everyone at some point in their lives is going to want to do something on their own, either full-time or part-time. So we celebrate that creative and innovative spirit and the courage that it takes to start something on your own and generate revenue from your own skills and abilities, especially those who eventually decide that they are going to step out on their own and not have a regular 9 to 5 job and start that business. So we're operating in the space of supporting those entrepreneurs, whether they are out in the community or our Wake Tech students, faculty, and staff. And then there are also the entrepreneurs themselves, which I'm thinking, and I'm looking at the list of attendees now, and I know that some of you already have a little business on the side. And so please let us help you with that. And as you develop your business, just be aware that you will have a lot to share with others, and you may be able to come back and be a part of our team that supports those small business owners and entrepreneurs as they reach for their goals.
Thank you. There you go. We see you now.
Great.
Yes. Okay. Abigail, would you like to go next?
Absolutely. Hi, my name is Abby Salcedo. As you guys saw, I did graduate from Wake Tech this May. Very happy to announce I successfully transferred to UNC. So go Heels. I'm very excited to announce that I actually was recently accepted to the Keenan Flagler School of Business program to minor in real estate, which is perfect because in the long run, I do want to explore my career as a realtor. I'm currently majoring in economics, minoring in data science, and now real estate, which is a huge honor. I joined Coldwell Banker Advantage upon graduation. I got into real estate growing up in California. My family moved around quite a bit. It was very stressful. And at the time, I was only a child, but now growing up, I understand that these transitions really take a toll on people financially, emotionally, and I definitely want to be that person to help people make the right decision when it comes to a huge investment like your home or a different property that you're looking at. So in the long run, I hope to work full time as a realtor, but for now, I am very excited to explore the side of business with economics and data science. There's just so much I can learn and so many people I can meet through networking here at UNC. And I keep in touch with all my fellow Wake Tech connections. I love Wake Tech. There's so many amazing opportunities you can get here, unlike any other institution that offers an Associates of Arts in Business Administration. So I'm very excited to be here, and I can't wait to answer other questions you guys may have.
Thank you. Of course, Mr. Andrews or Mr. Perez.
Hey, I could go. I'm John Andrews, and I am a career marketer. I actually started my career in a non-traditional way. I was a manager of Domino's Pizza when I got out of high school, and I did that because at that time they had a management training program that if you worked through their program and became a manager, you could manage a store for 2 years and then make an investment and become a franchisee. And I thought, wow, that would be a pretty cool path. I had worked for some franchisees that owned 4 or 5 stores and had built nice businesses. And I was very interested in that. And in that time, I got very interested in marketing. A lot of my pay as a manager was based on growing my store sales. And I had some tools to do that my training helped me with Domino's to grow my business and to develop relationships in the community, things you do as a small business, right? And I really began to get interested in that and careers, and ended up going to college as a non-traditional student when I was 24. I went to Lenore Rhine, what is now Lenore Rhine University in Hickory, and I did my undergrad in 3 years, and then I went directly to Wake Forest University and got an MBA with a marketing emphasis in after that, because I wanted to be in brand management, which is the specific part of marketing that focuses on building and growing a company's brand. And in that career, I was able to work for both small and large companies. I worked for Hanes Brands, coming right out of college, which is right there or right out of grad school, which is right there in Winston-Salem. From that, I went to a startup in Washington, D.C. called Picture Vision, which was I'm a little older, so we were digitizing and putting photos on this thing called the internet, and it was really cool. And I tell my daughter that, and she says, "Yeah, don't you just take a picture with your phone?" I'm like, "Yeah, it was a little harder back in the late '90s to do that." And Picture Vision was eventually acquired by Eastman Kodak by Kodak. We were the back end engine of America Online's You've Got Picture service. So had a little bit of that entrepreneurial scope there. From there, I came back to the Triangle here and worked for a company called M Plus, which was a startup that was founded here, actually from some North Carolina people, University of North Carolina folks. And M Plus is a consumer packaged goods companies that primarily makes things like insoles, and they make a lot of socks. They make but they're a pretty big branded firm that's located here in the Triangle. And we grew that company from about $20 million in revenue to the time I left to about 200 million, which was that was fun to learn to be part of that. And from there, I left and went to Walmart in Arkansas, and I was responsible for marketing with the dry grocery group, which was about a $50 billion business at that time. So you think about things in scale, but again, it's pretty much the same principles you learned at a small business. And while I was at Walmart, got the opportunity to found a digital media platform called the Walmart 11 Moms, which was kind of an entrepreneurial role at what was that time the world's largest company in terms of revenue, but really thinking about how do we go after new kinds of marketing within a large organization like Walmart. That led to taking that business model and founding a company called Collective Bias, which was one of the first people as media companies. We were a large influencer marketing organization. We grew that company for about 4 years, and then raised about $15 million in venture capital to expand the company. And we sold that company in 2016 to the Inmar Corporation in Winston-Salem. I've also since then helped some other people build some companies and built a few other companies, and primarily serve as an advisor to digitally focused startups today, which is what I spend most of my time doing today. And I'm trying to get Wake Tech to let me come and teach, which I think is going to happen in the spring semester of 2022. So I'm excited about that and being involved with things like this. So thank you for having me.
Awesome. And Mr. Perez?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Hello, everyone, and thank you for the invite. As Sonia said, my name is Damian Perez. So I got a little bit of a varied background, as some of our panelists have. I started out in the military, serving 20 years in the Air Force. I was in aviation maintenance back in the day, doing all kinds of things on all kinds of different airframes. So I took that opportunity, retired here in North Carolina, and actually became a real estate broker in charge. So I did real estate for quite a number of years. Was broker in charge with some of the bigger firms out here in Fayetteville, Lee County area. And what I found is in those various roles that I've had, I've always been drawn to teaching, instruction, setting up classes. I did it in the military. I started doing it as a broker in charge, as a BIC. Used to do the training, so I used to teach the pre-licensing classes too. So as I was working on my graduate degree, I kind of took those skills I had, the passion I had for teaching, and found myself just in education, first as a volunteer with some local schools, and then kind of getting involved, becoming an actual teacher, non-traditional kind of teacher, but coming in. And that's where I really got focused on understanding what project management was, and applying those skills. I was lucky enough, and the timing was good enough, that I got picked up with a brand new charter school that was opening up at the time. So I came on board as a teacher. Came aboard as a teacher, and has since grown. We started with 2 grades, 6 and 7, just about 180 students. We have now, 4 years in, we have grown to about 470 students, serving from 6 to 11. And a lot of that, so now I serve full-time as administration, taking both my passion for education and just the skill sets I have in leadership and project management, putting it all together. So really the role that I serve now is, and I believe Ms. Katie can probably attest to this, when you're a startup and you've got a small group of people doing something, everybody wears every hat, everyone is hands in, everyone does everything. But as you grow, you got to start putting those systems in place, those processes in place to sustain. And that's kind of where we're at now. We started off in one little building, as I said, with 2 grades. Now we've got 2 buildings, working on a 3rd. We're expanding out in grades. We're adding athletics. So we really got to put those programs in place to kind of help sustain that. And that's ultimately what I do. So I handle the day-to-day activities as far as facilities, employees, athletics, you name it. If it's an operation, I've got my hands in at this school. So I've been doing that. This is going on our 4th year, and we're continuing to expand. So I'm excited to be here. I'm excited. I also serve on a nonprofit locally here for the North Carolina Project Management Institute. I serve as VP of certifications. I actually teach project management courses. Been doing that for a few years because I just love it. So I am open to any questions, and I'm honored to be here.
Awesome. Thank you all. We really have a dynamic panel. So of course, now for what we've all been waiting for, we do have some questions for you. So before we dive in, Mr. Andrews, there was a question in the chat box that asked, what class are you thinking about teaching at Wake Tech?
Good question. It looks like marketing. I originally had agreed to teach an entrepreneurship class in the 2nd quarter of the fall, but it just didn't, I don't think the timing and everything worked out. So I have taught marketing in the past at as well as entrepreneurship and basic business. And my dream would be to one day teach economics, but I have to actually probably take some more courses in that myself. But I fancy myself a junior economist, and everybody knows that economists are wrong most of the time, so it's pretty easy to do, right? It's like being a weather person.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Now I am going to pass everything over to our moderator, Dr. Donna Hawkins.
Hey, everybody. I'm excited to be your moderator today. Sonia, thank you for highlighting a few career paths associated with the business administration degree. In advance, I want to thank this phenomenal panel for agreeing to participate today. And so we look forward to the valuable information that you're going to share with us. To get us started, I want to propose the following question to our panel, starting with Chris, then John, Damian, Katie, and finally Abby. Name an advantage you think students from a community college have or will have with an associate and applied science degree in business administration. Chris?
Uh, well, I can start off from a financial aspect, that's for sure. Because we know all of us who actually, pursue our educational goals, there's a price that comes with that. Just talking about from a university standpoint and a community college standpoint, but also we do have more practical experience here on the community college level. In addition to the fact that if you and when you, I'll claim that when you actually graduate with your associate's degree, you actually, for example, that there are positions that actually in the training and experience section, when you're looking for a particular position or job out there on any particular third-party website, maybe on a particular organization's website, if they require that particular degree at that time that you're hiring or actually been preparing to search for that job or interview for that job, you actually have already at least gained one level of your education at that point with an associate's degree. So you're fulfilling one criteria already just from the start. 2 years at a university doesn't actually give you that degree. So you can actually already qualify for a position if an associate's degree is available. Or required. So let's say, for example, from a financial aspect, from a completion aspect already, and also from the fact that you actually are getting that experience and training from a practical aspect.
Okay, thanks, Chris. What about you, John?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite questions, actually. When I was in Northwest Arkansas, I taught at the Northwest Arkansas Community College, which is really a big support school for for Walmart and a lot of the supplier community. And what was great about a lot of the students coming out of that school, and I think that is very similar at Wake Tech, is there were specific skills that all of those employers needed that institution was teaching. And so transition that to today. I believe the career that I've been involved in for 25 years or so, marketing, is really thirsty for those skills right now, because the marketing industry does not need it has changed so rapidly to hard skills. When I joined marketing, it was more of a soft skill. It was much more about strategy. There were hard skills that you needed, but you typically could gain those on the job. Today, day one, going into any organization, be it a small business or medium, large business, it doesn't matter. You need to know how to do audience analysis, which you can learn to do, and you can learn a hard skill to do that. And you probably need to be certified on the major marketing platforms, which are Facebook, Google, YouTube, Twitter, and even TikTok, all of which offer direct online certification that goes along with the kinds of things that you're learning at the community college level. You can literally walk out, I think, with a Facebook certification, especially, but any of these certifications along with this, and walk into a career, because there are so many unfilled jobs with people with those skills right now. Mm-hmm. and people with those certifications. It doesn't matter what you've done. People like me in the marketing world today are actually at a disadvantage because a lot of us don't have those skills, to be honest with you. And it's all, it's all a directly translatable to day one activity that I think people need today. And I feel like that's the kinds of things that you could get at a place like Wake Tech.
Okay, thanks. Damien?
I'm sorry, I had to step out for a second, so I didn't catch the actual question. I think I understand along the lines of what we're doing.
Yeah, so the question was, name one advantage you think students from a community college have or will have with an associate in applied science to business administration degree.
So I think the main advantage is the really show potential employers or anywhere that you're wanting to take this, your seriousness in it. I know we have had, whether it was real estate or in the military, there was those that took their experience and then went to a community college to go ahead and get their associate's degree. So it shows not only were they did they have the experience as they were doing the job at the time, but they were really serious and then taking that next step and really fine tuning their skills and learning more about it. So I think that does open up the door to say, you know, this is the first step and really taking this further. Um, I graduated when I was in the military and we were working on aviation. With all the technical training that we did, I ended up with an associate's in electronics. And that eventually opened up the door for me to get my undergraduate in professional aeronautics. So it's just like a stepping stone to kind of show where you're kind of headed. So that's how I believe it.
Great. Katie?
Sorry, I had to unmute. I'm
That's
in
right.
place. So there are actually two answers. You asked for one thing, so Donna, I'm going to
Yes.
provide two. The first is if you're getting this associate's in applied sciences and business administration, and you want to go on to a four-year college, then you will come in with a better understanding and foundation of business administration principles, and you will have already taken the first semester, one semester of entrepreneurship course. So you go into that four-year college as a junior with a lot more business training than somebody who started at that four-year college as a freshman.
Okay.
Now, if you decide that you're going to take that degree and you're going to step right out and boldly be an entrepreneur, well, then you already learned a lot of the business principles and the vocabulary and what is required to run a business that somebody who was, say, working in another field, let's say you're a trained potter and you decide that you want to go out and open your own pottery business, well, you've got to learn all those basics. Now, you probably come back to the community college to get it. So you will have that advantage. I do encourage all of our students, though, to please use the Wake Tech Small Business Center. The seminars are scheduled during lunchtime and in the evening, so you can get those some of the basic information that John referenced. You won't get certified, but you'll get a seminar on Facebook for Business, or how to decide how to incorporate, or some basics of accounting for a small business, how to start a small business, those types of things. And they are totally free. And they're all webinars. So I encourage you to, if you plan to step out on your own and be a full-time entrepreneur with your two-year degree, or go get a job and then start a little something on the side, to also please take advantage of those free webinars that we offer through the Small Business Center.
Okay. Abby?
Yeah, I just want to echo everything that everyone said. Just talking a little bit about why an associate's degree is important. I just want to backtrack a little bit to my story, how I ended up to Wake Tech. Originally, I did grow up in California. I graduated high school 2018, and I was recruited to play volleyball at a private college in Boston. Unfortunately, costs were really expensive, and my dad was already relocating down here to Raleigh for his job anyways. So I decided to also move down with my family to save on some costs, and that's when I joined Wake Tech. And the one advantage, obviously, that community college offers is the reduced cost of earning an education in a small environment. You get to create really intimate relationships with professors, different faculty and staff who can ultimately serve as great references and great connections down the road. You never know what someone can offer you, as well what you can offer them. That's what I really loved about Wake Tech. There's also great opportunities to get involved at the college while earning your degree. During my time at Wake Tech, I was able to serve as a student ambassador, which was another wonderful opportunity to explore advertising and marketing for the college. I've been on some brochures, and I'm on a billboard actually, which is really funny. But a great, again, opportunity to explore, different realms of advertising, marketing, entrepreneurship. I did really enjoy my time learning about international business and the business courses offered at Wake Tech. And ultimately, when my time was done and I graduated, I decided to go to UNC to study economics to, discover more about business because there's so many different avenues, as you guys saw earlier with that little tree. There's so many different avenues that you can go towards. And Wake Tech really just sets up that platform for an ultimate realm of possibilities. And now that I've recently been accepted to the Keenan Blogler School of Business, I'm excited to even dive in deeper there and learn about real estate in a more, I would say, professional ambience. Real estate is very, you get in the mud, you learn as you go. And as I'm starting my career, I'm very excited to even have that support from Wake Tech and still at Wake Tech, now at UNC. And so I'm all for it. Go for it. I know a lot of us here are starting off our college careers and we all come from different paths, but having the support at Wake Tech and earning an associate's degree does set you up for so much success. Even if you choose to not go the traditional four-year path, you have that experience, you have that tangible experience on your resume, on your hands, and it does set you up for so much success. So I'm just delighted to talk about everything that Wake Tech does offer in this particular avenue.
Thank you, everybody. Those are great advantages that you all named. And if anybody thinks that they've seen Abby before, that's because she's also a star at Wake Tech. She's been on the Wake Tech commercials. So if you've seen her on TV, that's who Abigail Saucedo is. All right. Chris, as a director of Wake Tech, or as a director of benefits at Wake Tech, working in human resources can't always be easy, bells and whistles, because you're constantly dealing with human behavior and emotions. So what characteristics and traits do you feel a person in the field of human resources should have?
So yes, you are correct. So for me, the first thing is being flexible, making sure that you are making yourself available. You have an open mind. That's another characteristic, because I would say that things change all of the time. We're talking about that when administration changes, then therefore laws change. Sometimes there are amendments to laws. You have to make sure that you're flexible enough. You're not stuck in your business as usual mode, because you have to make sure that you're learning and continuously learning, and also making sure that you're open and flexible to change. We talk about people. The biggest thing is patience. Making sure you understand that people are coming to you of different worldviews. Their perspective is different. They may not be as knowledgeable of the policies and procedures that we have here. So you have to make sure that you're open to making sure you're explaining those things to them, so that you can make sure it's particular to their circumstance, so that you can kind of walk them through and guide them through the process and how it will work for them in their particular case. Always making sure that you are continuing to educate yourself so that you can better educate others. So that's one biggest thing for me. So I have two parts here. We always try to make sure that we're open to different avenues or different committees and things, so we can make sure we're kind of open to understanding all of the employees. And of course, here I kind of focus more on staff and my benefits role, but I'm also a Title IX investigator. So, a little dealing with the students, and I'm a adjunct faculty member. So, just trying to be a little more well-rounded.
Right. So flexibility and patience is what I hear there. And so which all of us can actually use in all of our jobs. So
Yes.
thank you, Chris. So John, I think you've already talked a little bit about this in terms of what made you want to pursue a career in marketing. If you could elaborate a little bit on that, and actually tell what is the most exciting thing you find about marketing? Just one thing.
Wow, that's a great question. I think my original thought was I didn't have to do a lot of math, so that was good. But that's changed, so can't do that anymore. No, I really liked marketing because I really enjoyed understanding. I really enjoyed understanding what makes a shopper work. So the field of marketing that I've been involved in most of my life is focused around shopper marketing. In fact, I'm written a book with a gentleman named Ted Rubin, who's been my business partner for a while, who's written several books called Retail Relevancy, and it is about the future of retail. And in that, really understanding the shopper's mindset in a place where we don't always go to a store to buy stuff anymore, right? So that's a very different kind of mindset, and I think what was exciting about that is in my first uh, job after grad school, my professional career, I worked for the legs hosiery division of Hanes Brands, right? And I did not know anything about pantyhose, which was a good thing because it made me. It actually one of the challenges I think people have with marketing is they call it the my Uncle Larry syndrome, right? Well, my Uncle Larry does this, right? Well, great, but the whole world doesn't look like your Uncle Larry or act like your Uncle Larry. So you actually have to look at data to understand what do people do. And I think what's really exciting today is that data is pretty accessible. Like you can really get at just using some basic tools that Facebook or Google or other folks have. You can drill down into marketplaces on your own and kind of test theories, and you can spend $5 on a set of advertising and see does it work, and if not, you can adjust very quickly. So that you couldn't really do that when I was an early marketer. But what the legs experience taught me, and we had this data from IRI and from Nielsen and these things that we bought, is really thinking about what does a shopper need? What problem am I solving for her in her daily life? What are the challenges? What are the benefits of my brand? And then why is my brand maybe fulfill this needs or wants in a different way than my competitor's brand does. And I think whether you're in the smallest, corner pizza shop, business in your local town, or you're working for a big retailer like Walmart, you're still asking that same question every day. What problem am I solving, and how am I doing that uniquely as opposed to other people?
Great. So Damien, I know there are different types of concentrations in project management, such as IT project management, construction project management, and the list goes on and on. How did you get into project management, and is your concentration in one area?
That is a great question, and one that comes up a lot, along with all of the different certification paths. So I will tell you this, in and of itself, project management is really a skill set. There are titles that people have now. There is the IT, as you were mentioning, construction, different industries. But in and of itself, project management is more of a skill set that you have. So this is what I found out. While I was in the military, I ran a bunch of projects. Everything we did, and I can go through the panel and everybody here and guarantee you have all run projects in some way, shape, or form. What I didn't know was that there was a professional organization with best practices to show what's the best way to run a project. I wish I had known, because it wasn't until after I retired that I got into project management. But that's one of the things the mentors at our chapter was saying is you have the experience. You just got to kind of align it now with the terminology and stuff like that we do. So once I started getting involved in that and kind of looking at it, it was just like a light bulb coming off in my head. It was like, man, this is so much easier if I would have just structured this way. Because I actually used to do all of those different steps more in a haphazard manner, putting things together myself. It just seemed like it made common sense, but now they've actually put a structure to it. So that's what kind of drew me to the skill set. And ultimately getting a concentration just in project management alone. It wasn't a real specific industry. But what I found is by having that project management experience and certification, it opens the door to so many things. Because who would have thought 5 years ago I'd be in education? But taking my project management degree, I've used it in real estate, I've used it in education, I used it in hobbies. I drive my wife crazy with it. I've got my oldest daughter getting her a certified associate project management. My wife is now taking project management professional. And this is all across different industries, but it just showcases your skill set and helps you elevate and show leadership and all of that kind of stuff. So that's how I kind of fell into it, I should say.
Okay. Okay, good. I think a lot of people fall into it and not realizing that they are project managers. So that's great. So Katie, I know how busy you are with the vast entrepreneur initiatives you have in the community. You've already talked about some of those, but I wanted you to talk just a little bit about what types of initiatives do you have for students at Wake Tech?
Okay. So so my work at Wake Tech is divided into two separate categories. There's Launch Wake County, which is out in the community, and then there's the Launch Wake Tech piece. And at Wake Tech, instructors can invite me or invite me to find a guest speaker on any entrepreneurship topic if they want to add that to their curriculum or have a guest speaker come in and talk to their class. The other thing that we do is, and beyond that, I work specifically with individual programs to create what I call my infusion project, where based on how much wiggle room an instructor or department has in their curriculum, I can customize an entrepreneurship curriculum to go in and complement what they're already teaching. So in the Wake Tech Barber School, we infused 20 hours of entrepreneurship training in the last 3 months that they're there, so that they will come out understanding that their chair is their business and they need to run it like a business so that they can, after 30 years retire or go do something else and have some savings and the like. We do the same thing with the natural hair program. 2 classes a year, at least, the Spanish language cosmetology program and the English language cosmetology program, but they only have about 9 hours. So we did something special with them. If you're a graphic design student at Wake Tech, then we work with this is a long title, the Graphic Design Client Media Relations class. And Carla Osborne, we've been doing this for 5 years, to bring some of my Launch Wake County graduates to pitch their business to the students, and the students will then select an entrepreneur to take on as their branding client for the semester. And the students must create 4 deliverables for that client. So what they get from that is they get a lot of hands-on experience solving real marketing and branding challenges that real businesses have. At the end of that course, the students make their final presentation, and then they can get their grade, but their contract with the client says that the intellectual property transfers to the client. So the client has gotten highly valuable branding support for free that they now own, but the student also gets to keep that material issues. For instance, we had one company that wanted a new logo. Well, they didn't really want a new logo, but the students looked at, and there are teams of 4 to 6 students in each agency that we put together. The students looked at their logo and they went and did the research and collected the logos of all of that company's competitors. And lo and behold, they all had blue and white logos. So the students came back to the client and said, you know what? You don't stand out in the crowd. We recommend that you change the color of your logo. So they came back to the client with some redesign options. They changed the client's logos from blue, 2 shades of blue, to like a cranberry and a black. And it was very dramatic and popped. And then they dropped that logo on that same page with all their competitors' logos. And your eyes automatically went to that logo. So that's just a small example. The students have designed cake boxes, set up e-commerce websites, social media. We had a yoga instructor who they did not think that her pictures on her website properly represented her business, so they actually went to a yoga class and took better pictures. We had one fellow whose business was kind of stagnated. He used to be leading edge, but the principles he was consulting about were now accepted as mainstream. He needed to figure out how to rebrand himself and reintroduce himself. His name was Norman. And so the students suggested that he name his business The New Norm, and they did a new logo and everything for him. So those are just some of the examples. We've had about 137 students go through this in the past 5 years, and we've served 28 entrepreneurs, and we've delivered about $100,000 worth of free branding services.
Wow. That's
The
great.
other thing that I've helped with, if you are in Wake Tech's English as a second language program,
Mhm.
where you may have people from 9 to 12 different countries in one class, all improving their English language skills. There's a module in there called Launch Your Own Business, where we are teaching those students, how to start a business in the U.S. And we're finding that many of them had successful businesses in their home countries. And then I did mention the Entrepreneurship Club, which is kind of like the business club, Phi Beta Lambda, that Dr. Hawkins, I know you're very familiar with.
Mhm.
But the Entrepreneurship Club is very, very new, but it complements Phi Beta Lambda.
Okay. Yeah, and actually that was one of the questions in the chat box. She says, "Hi, Professor Katie, how can I join the Wake Tech Community College Entrepreneur Club?" So we'll give you time to answer when we do our Q&A.
Okay.
So right now we're going to Miss Abby. So we're so proud of you as a Wake Tech alumnus, and now in your first year at the great University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Somebody else put another
Thank
school in the
you.
chat box, but I'm not going to mention that one. So, I know you talked a little bit about why you
mean the
started
really,
real estate, but why did you choose to enter real estate? And is it something that you want to do full time? And so I know you talked a little bit about that, but if you can elaborate on it a little more, that would be great.
Yeah. Thank you all for your support. I really do appreciate it. As I mentioned, I grew up in California, and during the Great Recession, actually, not sure how many of you are familiar with the real estate market, but there was a great crash and a housing bubble. Unfortunately, my family lost 2 homes, and we then moved into an apartment. So it was 5 of us in a 3-bed for 7, 8 years. And when my dad moved down to Raleigh, my mother and my brother stayed behind in LA. I was in Boston. My dad was in North Carolina. So there was just a lot of turmoil going on. Very thankful and very blessed that we were able to reunite at the end of 2019, right before the pandemic, out here in Raleigh. My brothers and I were at Wake Tech. And so the whole reason that my family left was, one, because of the housing bubble. It was a very traumatic experience. And two, the costs of living in California are not cheap. It's not low. It's very expensive. So especially for a family of 5, 3 college students, it wasn't going to work out for us to live well. And so we moved down to Raleigh. And now that I am old enough to understand a little bit more about the decision of relocating and finding a home, I was able to kind of see my parents look for their house out in Fuquay. And so during that process, it really inspired me to go out and earn my real estate license. So I did that. And honestly, I'm really glad that I did choose to go into that career path. And I am now very fortunate to be with Coldwell Banker Advantage out here in Raleigh. And so as I'm starting out my career, I think it's a great opportunity to continue my education here at UNC. As I mentioned briefly, I am majoring in economics and I'm minoring in data science and real estate. So I just want to get a well-rounded education, learn as much as I can about the, hard, cold data about why people make certain decisions with the purchasing power that they have, which obviously trickles down into certain decisions that they make about their housing. And so I think just even networking, increasing my sphere of influence will help me down the road to go into real estate full time. And so I'm very excited that I get to have that opportunity. And so I'm hoping that this experience will absolutely just help me, again, increase my sphere of influence, learn how to network with different people who down the line would need some help finding a home later, because at the end of the day, I just want to do this to help people. And I love the opportunities you get with real estate. And so I'm very excited for that.
Well, the market is looking mighty good for you right now. So, all right, so we're going to move to this next round pretty quickly because we want to make sure that we give people time for, questions and answers. So, Chris, are there any certifications a student should consider pursuing to enter the field or why in the field?
Yeah, so we always refer to our HR certification program, which we actually have here at Wake Tech. In addition to that, we talked about some of the local professional organizations that we have locally here. I'm pro SHRM, so Society for Human Resource Managers. So what I'll do is I'll put in the chat some of our local chapters that can actually offer internships, some mentoring, things of that nature, just broad spectrum of information that you need. And I actually also offer this opportunity in some of our courses also, just to kind of allow students to take a moment to browse, through this organization's website to see how much a wealth of information it has to offer in the course structure. In addition to that, for just looking for a job, for example, in addition to some information that I use personally when the administration changes and laws changes, to find out those or others that are also in the field, what they're doing, how they're navigating some of the changes that we have, in addition to some of the information that they have out there. Just some real life experiences and changes and how we can kind of get that and I kind of share that because sometimes with SHRM, they focus on a lot of the private sector and public sector. So sometimes I navigate or toggle between SHRM and what we consider CUPA, which is our community college and university HR website too. But from a student perspective, SHRM would be the best option. And I can provide those local chapters in the area, their website, in addition to the link so you can kind of see where students can provide receive information and how much, if there's a cost, which there is, for membership if you choose that route.
Thank you for that, because I was hoping that you were going to touch on the local professional groups and actually to see if they offer student memberships, because I know I get some of those questions from students and actually who they should contact. So I'm glad your name came up, so I'll be using you from now on. Okay. So John, as principal of your company, small business owners, large corporations, vendors, and suppliers have altered and or enhanced how they market their products, especially during this pandemic. So what are some of the current marketing trends and techniques that students should be familiar with in preparation for career in marketing?
It's a great question. As I mentioned before, I really think getting under the hood of the primary platforms and actually getting that certification is a great way to start. Most of those certifications are free because it behooves the platforms for you to have them. The more people that know how to use them, that they work. And then I think really one of the things that is super important, I think, is really narrow casting who is that bullseye customer for you. We used to use that term a lot, and I think it's very important today. Really thinking about who we talk a lot when we talk with companies that we work with about personas. And we make personas. We make up these people. So this is Julie, and this is what kind of car she drives, and what kind of food she likes to eat, and whatever, right? So you can visualize who that person is, and then really thinking about, because when I started my career in marketing, we wanted to reach as many people as possible. And now I say we want to reach as few as people as possible who are the right people. I don't want to spam anyone. I don't want anybody getting my message that I have that is probably not interested in my product or service or whatever. And that's a real mind change when you think about it. And unfortunately, a lot of marketing is still done the old way. You can probably look at your email and realize that that's the case, or maybe the ad. I always think about sometimes when I see ads in my Instagram roll or something that have nothing to do with me. I'm like, who is spending money on this? Why are you doing this? But first of all, it makes me think less of you as a brand, right? And you're just wasting money, because I'm not interested in that. So I really think thinking about how you really get that sense of who you're actually trying to talk to. How do you talk to them in ways that where they are open to your message, and how do you to really think about the efficiency of that. Now, you think about that in real estate, right? You think about that in financial services or in personal care. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing, right? Who is that perfect customer for you?
Right. Okay. Thank you. So, Damien, I think this is going to answer Julie Walker's question as well. She put a question in the chat box, but the question that I have is the Project Management Institute, known as PMI, offers several certifications. What is the difference between the Certified Associate in Project Management, known as KPIM, and the Project Management Professional Certification, known as PMP, and which do you recommend?
That's a good question. So there's a lot of actual certifications. Where you usually begin, and it really depends upon your experience. And some of this you may need to talk with somebody that's kind of in the sort of in that industry or in that certification process, because you may actually have more experience than you think. So if you have zero experience, just getting into it, just getting into project management, that's what the CAPM's for. It's a certification of associate. Is just certifying that you're coming in, you're learning the basics, you're understanding terminology and the framework. All you need to do to get involved in that is a secondary degree, like a high school diploma or an associate's, and 23 hours of education, which could be part of if you're in a community college program, or you can do a standalone program that a lot of outside organizations will give. But that's all you need to get an actual CAPM and kind of get your foot in the door. What that tells employees is that you understand the basics, and you can usually kind of get an assistant project management position, or a different aspect, maybe be on a project team. For those that actually have experience, and this is one of the things I learned, because when I came out of the military, I didn't know any of this, and they were like, with everything you've done, I had more than enough experience to then go to the next level, which is going to be your PMP, Project Management Professional. Now, your CAPM is more of a straightforward exam that's going to test terminology, basic framework, and that such. When you start getting into the PMP level, which is supposed to be your experienced managers, your experienced leaders, they're looking for 3 to 5 or more years of experience. So when you're going through that process, they're wanting more of your experience, and so the test is more adapted of what would you do, using your experience, using best practices, those kind of things. For a PMP, if you have a 4-year degree, then you need to have 36 months of experience, be able to prove 36 months experience, and have 35 hours of project management training. Whether you take a boot camp that we offer, or once again, community college have business classes, project management classes. If you do not have a 4-year degree, let's say you have an associate's or just a high school degree, you can still go ahead and apply to be a PMP, but now you have to have 60 months of experience, be able to show 60 months and still have that same 35 hours of project management training. Those are really the two staples of what you have. The CAPM is to kind of get you in the door. PMP is to show that you're experienced doing this, and then they offer a lot of specializations. And then really, once you get above that level, you start getting into program and portfolio management, which is then kind of your executive level kind of certifications. And you can tell I get real passionate about project management. I love it. We actually teach it to our students here at high school and middle school, because we do project-based learning. So I'm not afraid to admit I'm a nerd when it comes to this kind of stuff. I love it. I love seeing the structure. So I hope that answers the question. If you've got anything more specific, but really we have different chapters all over the world. We have the global PMI, so don't be afraid to reach out. That's actually how I got involved. Is part of one of my graduate classes. I was tasked to go to a actual meeting. That's how I got involved, talking with them, and then that's how I got brought in and eventually earned my PMP certification, was just by asking the question and attending a meeting.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think that does answer her question, because you gave some prerequisites of what she needs to do. So Katie, I know you can talk about this all day.
Okay. But I won't.
Okay, thank you. But I know, but it's because Wake Tech has such a great resource center in the Small Business Center, and you and chairs work so well together. So if you could just give a snippet of how does one go about starting a business, and how can Wake Tech help our students start their business?
So, oh gee, that could take all day.
Uh-huh.
Most people start a business because they know how to make the thing or deliver the service. And it doesn't matter how many degrees they have, or how much experience they have in business. I'm sure John and Damien can attest to this. You start the business because you know how to do the thing, not necessarily because you know how to run the business of doing the thing. And so whether you have a medical degree or you have have passed the bar and you want to create that practice, everybody's going through the same learning curve in learning how to do the business of the thing. So the first thing to recognize is that you understand